Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company. Well, welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company. Thank you all for joining us today. We have a very special guest joining us from the great state of Nebraska. That is Jeff Beals, co-founder of Grow Omaha and NAINP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. I knew I was going to nail that one. There's too many letters. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Claire. It's an honor to be here.
And with us in the studio here at Amplified DSM Studios is Matt Weller, our Vice President of Development at Hubbell.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. Also from Nebraska.
Also from the great state of Nebraska.
Oh, geez, there's a pattern here, something in common we have, Matt.
I knew bringing you two together on the podcast would be good, and I'm going to preface for all the listeners today, too. You get to hear this raspy, gravelly voice. I feel like everyone in our building is battling a little bit of a cold, and so I am joining that fun group of people. So thanks for hanging in there with me, guys, if I have any coughing fits or anything else. But Jeff, let's dive into, we're really, really excited to have you on this podcast because Hubbell Realty and our construction, our development team, our home building, we're really expanding our footprint in the Nebraska, especially the Omaha area. And so to have you on is really exciting for us, exciting for Matt. I know you guys have overlapped. You were just out in Omaha on a CRE panel recently.
Yep.
And so, Jeff, give us a little bit of background about what all you do out in Omaha and kind of how you got integrated into the commercial real estate world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Claire. Yeah, I've been involved in commercial real estate in Omaha for about 25 years, and I'm a native of the area. I lived out of state for a little while, but came back like so many people do. And we started Grow Omaha 22 years ago, really as a way to promote a commercial real estate company. I also work in commercial real estate. And you said earlier, I'm currently with NAINP Dodge Commercial Real Estate in Omaha. But 22 years ago, my partner, my co-host and best friend, with whom I own Grow Omaha, we started looking for ways to creatively market our real estate firm, and we came up with this idea of a radio show that would talk about growth and development and construction and economic development, really all of the things related to commercial real estate that are considered more glamorous and prestigious. We would do that show as a way to kind of create positive feelings towards our real estate company. It worked great. And to this day, it's the most listened to weekend talk show in the state of Nebraska, if you take out certain sports talk shows and all that sort of thing. But for real talk shows, it's the most listened to. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, we turned it into a for-profit media company. We now have a newsletter that goes out to 25,000 participants, and we have daily news on growomaha.com, and we've had 2.1 million views already this year. So
that's cool.
And we've gone a little bit broader than real estate and construction and economic development, although that's still our heritage topic, but we cover a variety of news items that are local in nature.
That's great, Jeff. Congratulations on the success you've had here with Grow Omaha. I know Claire spouted some viewership numbers to me over the last few months, and it's impressive.
I always like to get the daily, get the newsletter updates and see you guys do, what restaurants are opening and closing. And so it's like it's a really good kind of pulse on the area, I guess you could say.
It's a lot. The first time I opened it, I'm like, okay, next time, 30 minutes I got to allocate to this newsletter because you're pounding through everything happening, it seems like, in the Omaha metro. So
it's funny that you should mention the length of it, because that was controversial in the beginning. And we every once in a while have someone that will write in. By the way, we're bombarded with messages from readers, listeners, subscribers. And every once in a while, someone will say, "Didn't you ever take Marketing 101? Why are you writing so much material for us?" And we say, it's not marketing. It is a digital newspaper. Yeah. It's the way we used to consume newspapers back in the day. We just put that in email or digital form.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and Matt, for our listeners too, can you explain how Hubbell has kind of expanded beyond central Iowa, I guess, now, and really has taken a harder look at Omaha in the greater Omaha market?
Yeah, no, Claire, give a brief history with not too much gory detail.
Yeah,
That's not interesting. But really, we entered the Omaha market about 6 years ago on the home building, land development side of things. And from that initial entry into Omaha, we've been looking to do some development deals, whether it's multifamily, industrial. Those are kind of our two primary focuses, and really been working on that since that inception into Omaha about 6 years. And really about 2 years ago is when we got unstuck and got our first multifamily project, Sagebrook, which I think you were at the groundbreaking. I recall meeting
Yeah.
And that's a large 264-unit multifamily project on 96th and Giles.
Yeah.
So that was really our first development project in Omaha. We're starting to turn over townhomes, the first townhomes. And I was there on Thursday, and our property manager there was just nonstop, people coming in, wanting to tour. We've got 20 units leased out of not many more available. So really been received well so far.
Yeah.
So hopefully that momentum keeps going.
And it's changed the look of that area too, off that corner of La Vista so much.
Yeah.
It's like, it's wild to see.
Kind of an infill site. I mean, I was told it was a Shopco. That's how it was originally platted. It was to be a Shopco. So it gives you some idea of the age.
Oh, funny.
When the last time they built a Shopco was. But great location. We're excited about it. And it's right across the street from our office in the Omaha Metro. And then on the industrial side, we acquired 155 acres of industrial in western Sarpy County. 2021, I think, is when we closed on that, and are delivering our first building there, 260,000 square foot warehouse within the next 30 days. And Rotella's Italian Bakery is actually taking that building, so they're going to increase their bun and or bread output here pretty quickly. So great tenant, great partner. We're excited to have them.
Well, and talk about Omaha native and longtime Omaha, just company there is with Rotella's. It's just amazing to see that.
Yeah. No, it's quickly, Omaha's a big, small town. You know that, Jeff. I mean, I hadn't done much work in Omaha until recently, and first call when we had an inquiry from John Rotella, who I went to high school with, was on the call, and it was, quickly put it all together, and it's been good. But as far as what we're looking to do in Omaha, I mean, we have arguably as much or more planned and under works in Omaha than we do in Des Moines right now. So we see a lot of runway there, a lot of opportunity. We've got some good positions that we're excited to execute on, and Omaha's really growing. And you of all people doing all this research and reporting, I think sees that as much as any expert out there.
Well, on behalf of the Omaha business community, we are thrilled that Hubbell has made such a commitment to our market and a contribution to our local economy. The size and scope of your projects are impressive, and you guys do quality work. And whether we're talking about Sagebrook and La Vista or those industrial buildings, not only are you providing important pieces of real estate for commerce, you're making the city look good too. So we appreciate you guys and your commitment.
Oh, great. We appreciate that, Jeff.
Well, you guys want to dive into like multifamily a little bit deeper? I mean, I guess that's kind of where my head's at, is like where, what makes Omaha's multifamily sector, such a compelling place right now? Like why are we interested in it? But Jeff, also on your side, what are you seeing from, other developers and other, communities that are coming online right now?
Yeah, and like a lot of places across the country, Omaha has a housing shortage.
Yep.
It might be worse here than it is in some places, though, just because we've had some really healthy business and population growth, and it appears to be accelerating lately, like even in the last year or two. But to give you an idea, the metro area is going to bring on 3,400 new units in 2025. And that's a pretty big number for a metro area of just over 1 million people. And, a lot of job growth and then population growth has been for a few different reasons. Like Des Moines, a lot of people will come to Omaha from the surrounding countryside, smaller towns, rural areas. But also like Des Moines, we have seen an influx of people transferring in from other parts of the country too. And then you have all of those big factors that are affecting real estate in a macro sense. How single family houses are getting expensive, interest rates have gone up. And so for a lot of people, apartments are more desirable now than they were 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I'd be curious, because I have my perception, but I'd be curious, what you've seen over the last 5-10 years or 2 years in terms of who's doing the multifamily development. Is it the local players that have been doing it for a while? Or do you have big national groups coming in? And I ask that question because in Des Moines, I think we saw 5, 6, 7 years ago when we started getting on some rankings nationally on best place. Like we saw an influx of national developers come into our market, and they've since most have left. But I get the idea that maybe that's going to start or has been happening in Omaha as well. What are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there have been national developers that have come in and are playing in the market, but we're still pretty locally dominated. Just in my head right now, I'm kind of going through some of the big apartment projects, and most of them are still developers from the metro area.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see that multifamily. We see it in every other sector as well. When these mid-sized Midwestern cities keep growing and thriving, it's going to show up on the radar of coastal companies, and I guess by sheer force of osmosis alone, where they have such great concentration on the coast, they're eventually going to trickle out and test the waters here in the Great Plains.
Well, I suspect the million population mark of the Omaha MSA is really kind of puts you in a different category.
Yeah, and that's a brand new number. That was only made official by, as far as estimates can be official, that was only made official by the U.S. Census Bureau earlier this year. Yeah. But already we're really seeing it, and you really tend to see it in the retail world, because retail and restaurant national users really like to see that number. And then I do think too, even when it comes to investment players, sometimes they draw a line and they'll only look at metro areas above 1 million people, and that's both good and bad. But in general, my thought on all that is, while I love the local strength we have, and I believe our local players will continue to grow and become stronger, ultimately we're a big, growing, dynamic international city in a lot of ways too. And I want to welcome as many players in here as we can and make it a very competitive environment. And when it comes to multifamily, start solving that housing shortage crisis.
Yep. You're fortunate to have a lot of really strong developers in Omaha, and we're happy to play in that realm as well.
Yeah, I mean, Sagebrook's one, but I don't know. Did you mention the next one that we have coming up? We're working on the Rye, right? The Rye at Harrison.
The Rye at Harrison. That's I think 214th in Harrison, just kind of west of 204th Street, I guess, naturally. Yeah, so that'll be, I don't know if we'll kick off this fall. We're in the permitting process. That's a little unknown, fall or spring, but kind of phasing that into 1 or 2 or 3 phases.
I was going to say 1 or 2 or 3 phases.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes. So.
Yeah, and which would be like 280 some overall.
286, I think.
Yeah.
Apartments and townhomes. So
yeah.
We like doing, it's kind of easy to just do a bunch of apartments. That's what pencils out, the simplest. Mm-hmm. But as much as we can layer in different housing types in terms of rental, townhomes, single story, 2-story, garages, no garages, just bringing a variety to a project that helps get more people in the door, because we're not trying to force a 1 or a 2-bedroom unit onto them. We have options, but it also allows people, to not necessarily have to leave the community. They can move from one type of product to another. Yeah. And townhomes can get built quicker, so we can turn them over quicker. Like at Sagebrook, we have 20 occupied units while we have half of the property still under construction. So, so yeah, that's our plan out at the Rye, and we've got a few more that aren't quite public yet. So they're there. That's where a majority of my work is.
Jeff,
stuff I can't talk about.
Matt's always working on stuff. Then he looks at me and he goes, "No, we can't talk about that yet." And that's when I reach out to you and I'm like, "Well, give me a couple more months and I'll work on him a little bit." Yeah. But do you guys see that demand strongest, like in that urban infill, or is it suburban? Or I know some of the places that we're looking at are kind of on those, I guess you could call them on the fringes a little bit too of some of these areas. So, yeah. Is there an area that's stronger than another?
I could tell my perception, there's kind of 3 different, there's downtown, which there's quite a bit and quite a bit of conversions happening in Omaha as well. Those will hit the market. Downtown's vibrant, by the way. You
I
go
like
Omaha
Omaha's.
downtown, and I moved to Des Moines about 12 years ago from Omaha, and downtown feel is a lot different now than it was 12 years ago. It's a fun place to be. I was talking to a gentleman last week, and he's like, Omaha's close to, if not considered an 18-hour city, not 24-hour, but we're beyond the 12 now.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting perspective. And this is a guy that looks at real estate deals all over the country. So a lot of positive things.
I like that. I like that POV.
Yeah. And then there's the fringe suburban development, Rye could be considered that, it's on the far edges of town. But there's some good demand there, some good rents. And then there's the infill projects. If you can find, 8-10 acres, like Sagebrook, that was 15 acres, but that you can tactfully and creatively put multifamily on without disrupting the flow and feel of the existing neighbors.
Yeah.
Those are good opportunities too.
For sure.
As far as demand, your actual question, I don't know. I think it's all of the above. Yeah. I don't know if Jeff, you have a different take on that.
Yeah, it truly is. And it kind of seems like a cop-out answer to say all of the above, but it's true. I mean, if you look in the urban core, as we like to call it here now, we have thousands of units that are in the development pipeline, literally thousands of units in the development pipeline. And then infill's doing great. And then when you talk about the suburban fringe, or I like to call it the suburban frontier, your project at 214th and Harrison is really intriguing to me, because I think for those people that are not familiar with Omaha, Harrison Street is an east-west street, and it's the furthest south you can be and still be in Douglas County, which is Omaha's county. And so you're 214 blocks west of downtown, as far south as you can be in Douglas County, and you guys are putting in a pretty sizable multifamily property there. That's a sign that, we're seeing some pretty healthy growth. If we can justify those types of multifamily properties that far out, it's really exciting to me, especially given the fact that in addition to that, we are still seeing these thousands and thousands of units in the core. And our core, for those people that are not familiar, is basically downtown and an area just west of it that we refer to as Midtown.
Yeah. I was talking to a gentleman works for Hubbell, and he was comparing
You can name drop if you need to.
Okay. It was Derek Haugen, who's vice president of Indigo Living.
Our apartment
manages all our apartments and third party as well.
You better, if you don't name drop Derek, he's gonna come. Yeah. He's gonna listen and then be like, "Well, come on, give me credit,
I'll test
man."
him if you watched it or not,
right? Or listen. Sorry, keep going.
But the number of apartments. So Des Moines MSA 600,000, 650, Omaha 1 million. You can do the percentages, but there's 3 times as many apartments in Omaha as there is in Des Moines, and I thought that was
I didn't know that.
Oh. And I hope that's not too far off of accurate, but I remembered him saying that, and that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
It does seem like there's some confidence, though. Just like this Omaha kind of has this growth and this momentum, or this like I don't know. It's not. I wouldn't call it a snowball necessarily, but like stable and confident. It's kind of seems to be the
Yeah. I mean,
keywords.
I feel like demand is there. It continues to be there. On our industrial property, we have fielded 3, 4, 5, won't give an exact number, RFPs for large industrial properties for build-to-suit. We haven't seen that in Des Moines ever, or in the last 10 years. And it's all happened. So that tells me there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of companies reinvesting in Omaha. And so that all bodes well to multifamily and industrial development, which is what we're doing.
For sure. And I honestly, I was going to change gears, unless Jeff, you wanted to stay on multifamily or anything. I was going to change gears into industrial just because I do know that, there has been some of that heavier interest, and with the successes that you've seen in Infinity, which there's just one building there right now, but again, 155 acres, right, of space to do it with. So, I mean, where do you see the greatest opportunities in industrial? Because it is a very different market than what we're experiencing here in Des Moines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that for Jeff or me?
Oh, either one of you. I get to pose questions to both of you.
Throw it in the air. Okay.
I do. See who catches it first or takes a swing.
You want to start, Matt, and then I'll jump in after you?
Yeah. I mean, there's some speculative industrial development in Omaha, But compared to Des Moines, it's a very small amount. Des Moines, I haven't refreshed the numbers in a while, but there might be 2.5 million square feet of available first generation industrial space. And the absorption of anything that comes online in Omaha for the most part is pretty quick. There's a couple I think that are kind of hanging out there, but so yeah, we see there's runway there. Des Moines got really built up post-COVID and just kind of got overbuilt, and demand kind of stalled. Whereas Omaha, there's continued demand and not a ton of supply. We're in the southwestern, western Sarpy County, where there's a lot of industrial growth. There's industrial kind of northwest or north central. Council Bluffs got some industrial growth. But we're in a good spot, I think, right on the I-80 corridor. So yeah, I think we're well positioned here.
Well, and I think for the foreseeable future, industrial growth will continue to primarily be in that Sarpy County Interstate 80 corridor for a lot of reasons. One, there's suitable land for it. It's a little hilly, but other than that, it's really placed. And Lincoln is not terribly far to the southwest of Omaha, and it's got 350,000 people in the metro area. And so that Sarpy County corridor makes a lot of sense. And then, Matt, you did mention north central, northwest. There is a highway corridor there, a state highway we call Blair High Road. Yeah. I think there's some industrial potential there. And then on the Iowa side, I-29 is going to be a place where industrial growth can happen for a long, long time. I was talking to the mayor of Council Bluffs earlier this summer, and he was telling me that there were 9 data centers floating around Council Bluffs, trying to find a place to land in that area. So while Sarpy County will probably still be number one for the foreseeable future, I don't think I-29 on the Iowa side will do badly at all.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you mentioned hilly, because that was... I grew up in Omaha and been in Des Moines a while now, and Des Moines flat. And when we started developing or looking to develop in Omaha, I'm like, I forgot. Omaha's not as flat as I remembered.
Just how many hills?
I grew up on a hill, so you'd think I'd remember that, but yeah.
I grew up on a hill.
Grew up on top of a hill. But it's a challenge when you want to build a 300,000-foot industrial building to flatten out those hills.
Yeah,
Truly.
And semis don't climb hills well, so yeah. You need a lot of flat.
Well, and with that industrial, I mean, is it logistics? Is it like advanced manufacturing, last mile distribution? Like what, or just like e-commerce? I mean, like what is it out there, or is it truly like a little bit of everything?
What we've seen is, cop out answer, but a little bit of everything.
You can't cop out this whole podcast, by the way.
He did the first one. So
okay, that's true. That's true. No, that's good.
I mean, we've got a manufacturer.
Yeah.
We've fielded RFPs from, larger scale contractors and distribution, and it's what you would typically see.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, what else on you brought up investment earlier, and I just kind of want your opinion on what's drawing investors, whether that's the coastals or what have you, into Omaha, just that outside capital flowing more into that Omaha CRE, or again, is it still more that regional player?
Yeah, and part of it, the easy answer is so many investors are sick of dealing with the more competitive environment they have on coastal areas. But I hate to focus on that too much, because that just makes us seem like we're just passive beneficiaries of people that happen to be passing by. And that's not really the whole story, because there are a lot of pull factors bringing in those coastal investors into Omaha. And several of them come to mind. Not only is the economy good and the population growth is healthy and trending upwards, but it is Omaha's economy is incredibly diverse. So many cities will say, well, we're a banking center, or we're a manufacturing city, or we're this kind of city, that kind of city. We can't say that, because the market mix is so impressive and so balanced. While no city is ever recession proof, over the years we've been kind of close to recession proof, and I think it's because we have such a strong presence in so many different sectors, and we're not overly dependent on one of those. I think another thing that's bringing in a lot of investors is that Omaha has this history of extremely strong public-private partnerships, very engaged and deep-pocketed philanthropic community, works hand in glove with private corporations, nonprofits, and local and state government. So as I compare and talk to people in media who cover other cities, they're always amazed by our public-private partnerships. And then I think the other major thing that is drawing that money in, Claire, is that there are a hell of a lot of blockbuster projects happening in our city right now. For instance, the airport is going through a $1 billion terminal expansion and modernization. It's already the busiest airport in a pretty broad region with well over 5 million passengers. It's going to get even more so because it's such an amazing investment. Skyscraper under construction for a Fortune 500 company in an environment where you don't see a lot of office being built, and the city's committing nearly a $500 million to an urban streetcar system. And so I think sometimes these investors say, okay, well, here's a Midwestern city that's generally pretty conservative in the way it invests and in its approach to risk taking, but they're doing these blockbuster things. Oh, and it's a place where the economy and the fundamentals are really healthy. Maybe we should look a little closer.
Yeah. Jinx, yeah. Matt. We both just, yeah.
Thanks, Claire.
Oh, you're welcome. Go. If you're going to, you go.
All right. So 22 years. I had written down 20 years. I was looking at your website, trying to get some facts. But what have you seen? And you've been tracking commercial real estate for 22 years during that time,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what have you seen from 22 years ago to today in terms of what the real estate market, what the trends, what the influences are? Where's that come from, and where's it gone?
And are you asking me broadly national or local?
No, local in Omaha. Like what is Omaha commercial real estate? How is it different now than it was 22 years ago when he started in a non-obvious way?
It's a good question, but it's a very broad question. And so I'll just kind of maybe start spouting a few things that come off the top of my head. Over the last 22 years, the scope and breadth of development projects has grown, both in size, cost, but also in sophistication, more diversity of uses. A lot of times when I first got started in this business, the Omaha area still had a lot of that Great Plains mentality of build everything extremely practical and cost effectively. And maybe that was kind of Omaha's heritage as a railroad and cattle town. And now in like the last 10 to 15 years, there's a much greater emphasis on aesthetics and quality of life aspects of buildings. So that's one thing that jumps out. And then I do think you see people here taking more calculated risks. It remains a conservative market. You said it earlier, Matt, when you said, you don't see a ton of spec buildings around Omaha. So it remains a conservative market, and I hope it continues in some ways to remain that way. But investors are stepping out a little bit more, doing things a little more boldly. And then I would say one thing that has amazed me is that while we have made this incredible investment of billions and billions of dollars in our urban core over the last few years and billions more coming down the pipeline, I think we've done a really good job of keeping our suburban growth healthy and robust and fast moving. So it was a broad question, and so I'm having a hard time coming up with particulars. But in a broad sense, Matt, I think people have become bolder, bigger, and have been investors and businesses here have developed a little bit of a better appetite for risk.
That's valid. Well, and I was going to go kind of along those same lines because I was going back to a question I had where you kind of went into it in the previous one, but what unique differentiators or strengths does Omaha have that maybe don't get enough of that national attention? You had kind of said, some of those big projects and those, the way that you're maybe punching above your weight a little bit out there in Omaha. But I think, I was wondering if there's any other areas where you're like, it's something where you don't want to give away your best kept secret, right? But
so what's your best kept? That's what you're asking. Right?
What's your best kept secret? What's Omaha's best kept secret?
I don't know if it's a tight-lipped secret or anything like that, but what you asked that people might not know about, particularly if you're not from this region of the country. People are consistently surprised about the number of very large homegrown companies that exist here. For instance, there are 4 Fortune 500 headquarters in Omaha. That's more than a lot of states have in total. And there are 8 Fortune 1000 companies. And a friend of mine recently did this little research, and I know this because he used it in a question he surprised me with while I was giving a speech to his company last week. But he did some research and found out that the average Fortune 1000 company that is headquartered in Omaha is over 100 years old. Wow. Which was shocking. And the surprise question he had for the Grow Omaha guy when I was speaking at his company meeting was, why? And I thought, well, I don't know. A lot of these companies are homegrown. They're loyal. They love the workforce. That good, solid, rock hard, conservative, fundamental based Omaha economy, or whatever the case may be. But Claire, I think a lot of people would be surprised that we have these 7 or 8 Fortune 1000 companies that are averaging over 100 years of age.
Yeah, that's wild. I personally didn't know that. So
I was just sitting here trying to name them in my head. But.
Were you? Well, and I will. Oh no, go Jeff.
You want me to tell you what they are?
Sure.
Oh no. Okay. Oh yeah, I do.
So everybody can go Google it.
The Fortune 500 are Berkshire, Union Pacific, Mutual of Omaha, and Kiewit. And then the other ones in the 1000 are First National Bank of Omaha, Warner Enterprises, which is one of the top 5 trucking companies in the country, Valmont, which is a steel manufacturer primarily in the ag world. And then I believe Green Plains may have just dropped out, but they were in their ethanol company in Omaha.
Look at that wealth of knowledge.
It's good.
So I tapped into Jeff Beals.
Yeah.
All right up there. Guy. Well, and I'll just give, not to put us up there, but Hubbell Realty does turn 170 years old next year.
Is it next year?
It's 170. Isn't that wild?
I saw James with IT at Hubbell wearing his 160 logo, and I had to say, hey, good looking shirt, James. Still fits in it 10 years later. So
170 years.
That type of tenure for a company is beyond rare. Yeah. And something you guys should be proud of, to be sure.
Yes, we are very proud of it. And I mean, the way that we keep diversifying all of the different things that we do and trying, again, not only in the markets and the regions that we serve, but the sectors as well. It's, it's definitely a big deal.
It's a big
deal. Looking ahead, you guys, and I want to be cognizant of both of your time because, we're coming up on pretty good time here. Can you look ahead to the market out in Omaha, kind of maybe that 3 to 5 years, maybe farther if you feel, like really casting the crystal ball. But what sectors or classes in Omaha do you feel that you believe that are poised for growth? Where do you think some of those opportunities may be?
Yeah. I'm biased because where we're playing, but I mean, there's runway on industrial. I mentioned earlier. That'll go take its course. So it might get a little overbuilt, and then there'll be more demand, just cyclical. I'm bullish on multifamily and everywhere, but particularly in Des Moines and Omaha. I mean, there's a lot getting built in Omaha. Jeff, you alluded to. Omaha's getting some buzz nationally, and so I think there'll be an influx of more maybe outside developers coming in. And in certain submarkets, similar to what we saw in Des Moines, I think there'll be a little oversaturation and a little slower lease-up velocity. But in the long term, I think that the demand for rental is there and is going to be there and is not going to, regardless of population growth. I think there's going to be increased demand in rental, and then you layer on population growth that Omaha has as well. I think there's some runway there. Yeah,
I'm pretty optimistic. I guess that's my nature doing what I do. But I think the population will accelerate a little bit over the next 5 years compared to what it was over the last 10 to 20. And I think you're going to see some years with population growth like about 1.5% coming up in the next 5 years, which for Midwestern cities is impressive. Des Moines had a really good run with very fast population growth, especially for a Midwestern city lately. So that's one thing. I feel like you do, Matt, bullish on industrial and multifamily. As our economy continues to grow and Omaha maintains what makes it good, it's almost impossible for industrial growth not to happen here. And then, with apartments, sure, as the population grows, people have to have a place to live, and I don't see ownership getting any more affordable anytime soon for people looking for single family houses. And you could have a whole show on that about the value of high rates of home ownership. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people can't afford it. We're seeing in Omaha several build to rent developments now where the cottages and the townhomes and some apartments all mixed together. We're seeing a lot of that stuff, just like a lot of other larger cities have seen it. Retail will continue to be a major retail center. And now that we finally passed the long anticipated million population mark, we're going to see some more prestigious retail. In fact, a prime steakhouse out of Texas is going to open their first location anywhere around this part of the country in West O. And we're hearing a lot more stories like that. And you wonder, probably had to hit that million. So altogether, things look pretty good. And even office. In addition to Mutual of Omaha building a new 800,000 square foot office building in downtown right now, I'm hearing rumors and have direct intel of 5 or 6 other sizable, maybe not quite that big, but sizable office users that are actively considering and even looking right now. So who would have thought 2 years ago right. with a work from home environment that we would still possibly have a bright outlook for new office construction.
Yeah. And just the Class A new office buildings on West Dodge Road that you see, you don't see that everywhere.
No, and you know what? We actually just took the drone up. This was maybe a month or so ago, downtown and around in some of our neighborhoods. Again, we have the home company out there, who's a fantastic home builder. But just to see some of the growth, and to truly, because you can only see some of this really, Jeff. I've told you this from the sky. We've got to get up there to see it, but it's wild. Some of the development, some of just the scale of some of these projects that are really taking over just the greater Omaha area. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, Claire, I tell you, I have another business that I do sales training, and
you need one more thing going on, Jeff.
I know, that's what my wife says. She says that I don't have enough distractions in my life.
I'm sure.
And that I should travel more, right? So,
right.
So I have another business where I do sales training worldwide, and primarily for commercial real estate, but a little bit of everything. And last year I was in Cleveland. And I like Cleveland, no jokes about Cleveland or anything like that. But I was talking to one of the brokers there, and I said, we were talking about the office market. He goes, we have nothing. No, we haven't had any Class A office buildings built here in a long time, except for one downtown, and which happens to be Sherwin-Williams. But other than that, he said nothing. I said, I suppose it's the same case out there in Nebraska. I'm like, no, I can think of a handful of Class A office buildings under development out here. So we're fortunate to have such a good market and a good economy.
Oh, absolutely. Well, anything we didn't touch on today that you guys, that you really want to get in on making sure people know about the greater Omaha area? Because really, I don't want to take up any more of your time. But again, we've got a lot of projects going on Hubbell's side of things. Jeff, I know, again, I'm a loyal subscriber and follower because there's just so many ebbs and flows and changes in markets, in market updates that I appreciate getting from you and the Grow Omaha team. And so it's really interesting to hear all of both of your professional inputs on, just the projects, the decision making, the investment, the opportunities of things out there.
Yeah. No, other than we're just excited, I sit in Des Moines, but I obviously have strong roots to Omaha and enjoy working in Omaha. And, the home company and the land company, we've been building homes there for a long time.
Yeah.
So, we're new on the development front and the general contracting front, but we don't feel like we're out of state, nor have we been treated that way by
no.
anybody in Omaha. It's been a really great experience. So we're excited to lean in. We'll have more staff in Omaha as we get rolling here on more projects. So
that team's growing fast, and the project list is growing just as fast. It seems like
it is. So yeah, we're excited, and I see a lot of us there a long time. So
for sure. Jeff, what about you? Any closing remarks here before I toss an off the rails question your guys' way?
I'll just say that I like to think of the Omaha market as a big tent with room for a lot of people, and when we get companies like Hubbell coming into the market, making a major commitment and making this a better place to live and do business, I couldn't be happier. So glad you guys are experiencing a lot of success here, and I hope you experience a heck of a lot more. I think you will.
Yeah.
And just a shout out to the Omaha real estate community, because I was at the it's not the expo. What do you call it? Omaha Commercial Real Estate
Summit.
Summit. That's the word. And that was my first year attending. My schedule didn't allow the previous couple years, and I was on a panel there.
Yeah.
But there were 900 professionals in the commercial real estate industry in that room.
Yeah,
and
that's a big group.
Anybody who touches it, is influential in it, was there. And it was great just to get to meet some of those people. And Jeff, you were there running your live radio show. I should remember it as, because you were doing it from that. So yeah, that was great. And it says a lot about the community of professionals over there. So
for sure. And I know that I'd be remiss too if I didn't say kudos to our Hubbell Construction Services team, who is doing some child care service work out there with New Horizons and some other projects. And so that's just, again, growth on many, many sectors and many horizons, and ways to have people just expand their efforts there, whether it's office, home building, what have you. So, all right, off the rails, you two, here we go. Are you ready?
As long as he's going first, yes.
Oh, Jeff.
No, I won't make it do that.
This is a pretty easy one for a people don't know what day it is when they listen to our podcast, but it is a Monday. In fact, I will inform people. The off the rails question is, who are some of your heroes?
I immediately went to Nebraska football. I don't know why.
You can't say that in Iowa. You get in trouble, Matt.
It was Iowa State weekend.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I
was a while ago.
And they came out on top. And
who are some of your heroes?
I don't know.
Come on. Hero.
I know.
I'm going
straight to Tom Osborne. Now I'm on that track, so I can't get off it.
All right.
You're going to have to move on.
All right. Jeff, who are some of your heroes?
Now, you're just talking in general, or they have to be local?
Nope. It can be, this is totally off the rails, anywhere from any point in life, what have you.
Okay. Well, a lot of people would say roll their eyes because it's such an easy choice. But the historical figure that I've always looked up to the most was Abraham Lincoln, even though he didn't have a ton to do with commercial real estate. I think he was the master communicator. And I have read probably 20 books about Abraham Lincoln. And a lot of my leadership philosophies have been modeled after the way he led, both in normal times and times of crisis. And then I also think that, like I say, he was one of the master communicators. And the other person that I've really admired and have read a ton about is Winston Churchill, and have tried to model a lot of my life and business decisions, especially when I'm in a leadership role and when I've had communication responsibilities or needs, to really model them after those two historical figures. But they were both dead before I was born, so I never got to meet them.
Well, clearly Jeff's much more well-read than I am. So.
Well, now, heroes is a big word, though. It's like you have your influential people. You have what teachers means the most to you. That's why I love that question so much, or this part of the podcast, is because truly I've gotten into heated debates over like what toppings should be on pizza versus...
That is controversial.
We can't go there, but versus heroes. So
fair enough.
Any answer works for this. thank you both for taking the time just to talk. I know we barely scratched the surface. It's easy to do. And Jeff, we'd love to have you back on again to drill down and talk even further into the Omaha market. And we're, again, very excited to have so many really cool projects, really groundbreaking projects happening for us out in the Omaha area. And we're looking ahead to that expansion. And it'll be a really, really good next couple of years for us out there, I think. And we'll put a lot of that information in the show notes. Jeff will do the same. We'll put some Grow Omaha links in the show notes too, if people want to follow along or subscribe on that end. And yeah, I just thank you both for your time and insights today.
Thanks for hosting. Jeff, great having you on.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Claire. I appreciated the opportunity.
Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company, is produced by Amplify Des Moines. Check us out wherever you get your podcast. Find us on YouTube at Hubbell Realty. Check us out on our website at hubbellrealty.com. And of course, like, subscribe, follow, and share across all social media platforms.